This is really the draft of an outline of a survival manual, which I am putting together, dealing with certain concepts which are unfamiliar and rejected by others. It's very clear they're under tremendous attack. And just to name a few of the things, we have geoengineering, HAARP weather control, droughting out California. We have electromagnetic radiation soaking us. We have Fukushima. We have GMO foods. We have vaccinations. And we have medical care, which is antiquated and not up to stuff. So we are under attack. And I guess obesity is another thing because the food is improper, is not what it should be. And why are we under attack? Well, the thesis that I've put forward is that we're under the control, under the manipulation of a big brain species, which has been here a long, long time. One of the names of this one species is Homo capensis, because that was studied by Robert Broom and Name. Their other one, or there may be more than one, is the big brain one, monoparietal plate conehead. And why would I say that these things or these entities or beings are in control? The evidence, it can be summarized in one way in that there is a lot of evidence and it's suppressed. The academic world doesn't go there. So if something is important and it's ignored, that indicates that that information is being hidden. Now, what do we do about survival? How does this affect our survival? The bottom line on our future, I think, is not appreciated. The projected bottom line is not appreciated by most people at all. I think the general feeling is that things are going to get worse, a little bit worse, a little bit, but there's a floor somewhere. It'll stop. But the fact is, the facts actually extrapolated out, there is no floor, that at some point in the future, we will be significantly reduced in number and will be biologically different by numerous technologies which are brought to bear upon us. And who is bringing these technologies to us or on us? Well, it seems to be human beings. They look like they're human beings. They've gone to college, they've had an education, they drive around in big cars. But they're not operating really with the principles of humanity, which is more on ethics rather than making money and engineering and scientific prowess. I mean, if you can make a big weapon that kills people, that's not really a feather in your cap. So I've said that there are the big brains, and how are we going to use for this to help us? One thing is, and this requires eventually a change of state of mind, of thinking things through, of going down to a level below which we usually think at, because the human mind looks at the surface. It just looks right at what's in front of us and really doesn't go deep. You have to train yourself to go deep. And even with training, it's hard. You're always getting caught up in the shallow part. Okay, so what is it our minds need to go to? What is the patterns of thought, the emotions that we need to have with us to protect us? One emotion is that of self-preservation, and the intellectual knowledge, which can be transferred then to an emotional reaction, that everybody who is lying to us on a government scale, and people who are installing the smart meters, people who are organizing wars, doing GMO foods, putting up the cell phone towers that radiate us so intensely, and there's certainly, especially the upper echelons executive power in any of these organizations, they're really working for another species, and they're working for our demise as a free species. And actually, so that means that they're working for their own demise. They're, in a sense, eliminating their own gonads. And one can easily see that this is most likely the case. They extrapolate it, but it's hard to understand because remember, the mind goes to the paycheck, the immediate rewards, the facade, what's right in front of us. And a lot of stuff has been put right in front of us, and people who have very good jobs, make a lot of money, are frequently engaged in activities which are ultimately harmful. So that is sort of the mood that one must adopt eventually. It's not, you don't shrug your shoulders and say, well, what are we going to do? How is this happening? I don't understand it. The way to approach this is, it's very probably that another species dominates us and is attempting to suppress us, reduce our numbers, and biologically change us. That all of this attack can be easily documented and verified. And then the question is, then what at the top is doing it? And at the top we find these large brain hominids. So how do we know that they're doing it? Well, it's actually fairly simple, but it runs against the grain. It runs against everything you're supposed to think. And what that amounts to, if you follow the history of the Hebrews, it seems that they were involved in the destruction of a number of civilizations. So, no, and that's actually Babylon, Persia, Greece, Egypt, and Rome. And then the question is, how is it possible that the Hebrews would know how to do this? And of course, there's the question of why they would why they would do this. But anyway, the documentation is that has been going on. And if you look around at the world right now, the Israelis are dominant, and the Hebrews basically are in charge almost everywhere, and things are getting worse. And they're bamboozled. What the Jews are essentially are human beings who have been fooled and bamboozled. So they are exactly like what you see in the mirror. You have been fooled and bamboozled, and so have they. A major difference is that there seems to be an elite hidden cabal amongst the Hebrews that are directing the situation, directing the activities of the entire body of Hebrew who don't really understand what's going on, only understand anti-Semitism and that they are being attacked. Excuse me. Now the link from this ancient people to the modern world is actually quite remarkable and clear. If one postulates that something in the Hebrew nation, if you use that expression, has been taking down civilizations since Babylon, and Persia and on, then that means then one can predict that one should be able to find a connection between the Hebrew and the ones who are planning the takedown, or what I would put forward is the large brain hominids. And so that link should be there. One can postulate that it's something that it's there, but it's not. It wasn't overt or obvious to me. but it was clear that it seemed to come out of the Ice Age because we didn't have the time scale for it to develop the techniques of civilization destruction or subversion in the 6,000 years allotted. So that's the prediction, that there's going to be a contact somewhere, that you're going to find large brain hominids in contact with the Hebrews. And so it turns out that there is that connection, that contact, and it's really a mind-boggling one. And it actually, is where it should be on the basis of calling the large brain hominid controls a theory. It turns out that the pharaoh Akhenaten of the 18th dynasty was really Abraham, and Ramses I was Moses. And there are some books that say, well, Akhenaten was Moses. This work has been done by Jewish scholars, very thorough and good work. And it shows that the Jews are not at all what they think they are, but are really Egyptians who were led by the pharaohs. So the whole history of Israel and the Jews in the Bible cannot be substantiated. And if the Hebrew are created by this mechanism of a non-human, large brain, high IQ being, animal, creating their system, that essentially obliterates all of the standing, the morality, the reasons of their activities. They're not the children of God. They didn't go to the wilderness. The Red Sea didn't part. So this can be studied in great detail. This is the sort of thing that you can go at and collect fact after fact and assemble a story. And as I said, I'm just giving a draft of an outline. This, if understood, negates the power of the Hebrew. And so there's work involved. The work consists of learning and educating people. And this, I think, can easily be done, or not easily. Well, yeah, it can easily be done if you find the right people and you simply proceed by studying this phenomenon. And the books are there, and programs can be put together, video can be put together, the whole thing can be demonstrated. And once you know this, then you understand that the attacks launched by the Hebrew are really coming from another species. Then, of course, it's not only the Hebrew who are involved in this, right? In the current, we have the Illuminati, the Vatican, the Jesuits, the various secret societies, occult groups, this sort of stuff that takes place at Bohemian Grove. But if you follow this stuff, I think you will find that it all originates with the big brain species, that everything, all of the confusion that's dumped upon us, all of the attacks are designed to damage the human being in socially and physically and especially mentally. Our brains have been really severely, brain-mind, has been severely damaged by all that's going on. But if you know and can work with others, it's going to get better. In fact, actually, this is probably the beginning of a really great period for Homo sapiens, because we're approaching freedom. We can understand what it is to be free. We can create the freedom. And of course, this is occurring in the context of total misery for so many people. But that is intellectually, and I think factually, where we're at. You're not likely to see on the news anything about this concept of another species being dominant, but it's there in the alternate press. Karen Hudis, whistleblower, has been talking about Homo capensis. There are a number of emails I have received from people who are interested in this, and there actually have been sightings of large brain beings, indicating that they are amongst us. But I don't have any direct pictures at this time. So this is a matter of determination, really, and finding the right people, because the message is not going to take on everybody at the beginning, because we just don't speak the language correctly. We don't have the facts assembled in such a way, and we may not have the emotional, almost certainly we won't have the emotional background, the emotional power to put it forward. But this will actually prevail.